ambitious.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah, just a tad.
Now, the crazy part is
Okay.
they had zero experience in construction.
Wow, so this is a real, like, against all odds kind of story.
Absolutely. And we're not just talking about like a quick little fixer-upper.
No, no.
This castle had been abandoned for over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
They had to deal with some pretty insane weather.
I bet.
And to top it all off, a global pandemic hits right in the middle of their project.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, talk about bad timing, right?
Yeah.
Their initial budget was about $2 million.
Okay.
But get this, it ended up costing them almost double.
Oof, that's a pretty big budget blowout.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's where our sources for this deep dive come in.
All right.
They documented their entire 5-year renovation journey on video.
Oh, wow. So we get to see the whole thing unfold.
Yep. All the struggles, the victories, the whole roller coaster ride.
Sounds like it'll be a fascinating watch.
Oh, it definitely is. So the big questions are, did they actually manage to pull this off?
Yeah.
What were the biggest obstacles they faced along the way?
Yeah.
And what can we learn from their crazy adventure, even if we're, not planning on renovating a castle anytime soon?
Right, exactly, because there's always something to be learned from people who take on these massive challenges.
Exactly. So let's jump right in and see what we can uncover.
Let's do it.
Right. So first, let's set the scene.
Okay.
Imagine the French countryside, rolling hills, picturesque villages.
Sounds lovely.
It is. And nestled among all that beauty is the village of Cours.
Oh, Raz.
Yeah, that's where you'll find this castle, steeped in history.
Interesting. What kind of history are we talking
It
about?
actually served as a hospital during World War I,
Oh, wow.
and then later as a college during World War II.
So this place has seen a lot.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a place with stories to tell.
I can only imagine.
And then you have these two friends, Francis and Benoit. They come across this castle that's up for sale,
Right.
and it's listed for a steal.
Really? What was the asking price?
$170,000.
Wow. That does sound like a steal for a whole castle.
Right. But the question is, did they actually know what they were getting themselves into?
That's a good question. Because, a castle that's been abandoned for that long, there's got to be a ton of work to be done.
Exactly. At first, they thought they were just buying a charming little fixer-upper,
Yeah.
a place to maybe live in or something.
Right.
But the moment they actually stepped inside, reality hit them.
Hard, I bet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They realized this was a whole other beast.
So what did they do?
Well, they had absolutely no construction experience.
None.
Nope. Benoit had a background in business,
Okay.
and Francis worked in water management.
So not exactly the most relevant skill set for a castle renovation.
Right. But they were determined.
Good for them.
Yeah. And you can actually see in the videos, they dove right in
Yeah.
and started demolishing some interior walls themselves.
Really? Wow, I got to give them credit for jumping right in.
Yeah, they definitely had a lot of enthusiasm, but they quickly realized that the bigger jobs were going to need professionals.
Probably a good call.
Yeah, especially considering the first major challenge they faced was super dangerous.
What happened?
The chapel.
Oh, no.
It was in such bad shape that they had to bring in an excavator to carefully take it down.
Whoa.
That sounds intense.
It was. And it's honestly pretty gripping to watch in the video footage.
I bet.
The excavator operator had to be so incredibly skilled to prevent the whole structure from collapsing.
Yeah, one wrong move and it could have been a disaster.
Totally. A real trial by fire for them.
So they demolished the chapel and then what?
Well, and as you can imagine, the renovation costs start to skyrocket.
Makes sense.
And that's when they come up with a pretty ingenious solution. They turn to crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding for a castle renovation. Did that actually work?
It did. And it's actually a really cool example of how a compelling story can resonate globally. Yeah, because who wouldn't want to be a part of restoring a French castle?
Right. They ended up attracting over 500 backers from more than 20 countries.
That's incredible.
It is. They essentially turned their audience into investors.
Really smart move.
Yeah. So with the chapel gone, they had to face their next battle.
Okay.
And this one was overhead, the roof. Yeah, it was in a truly disastrous state.
What had happened to it?
Decades of neglect had taken their toll.
I see.
The wood was rotting, tiles were falling apart. It needed a complete overhaul.
So what did they have to do?
They basically had to remove everything, reinforce the structure, and then re-shingle the whole thing.
Wow, that sounds like a massive undertaking.
It was a huge job. And to help them with the heavy lifting, they brought in a specialized roofing company called Bonnet.
Bonnet. Okay.
But the roof wasn't the only structural nightmare they had to deal with.
What else?
The castle's facade was also crumbling.
Oh, no, really? How bad was it?
We're talking over 1,000 square meters of facade.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, Years of harsh weather had just eaten away at the mortar.
Leaving the stones exposed.
Exactly. And vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
They had to use jackhammers to expose the underlying stone
Okay.
and then meticulously repoint everything using traditional hot lime mortar.
Hot lime mortar. Why did they choose to use that?
Well, it's more breathable than modern cement,
Oh, okay.
and it's a better match for older structures.
So it's all about preserving the integrity of the building.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And just imagine this as if all that wasn't enough. They kept finding surprises along the way.
Like what?
Evidence of squatters living in the castle.
You're no kidding.
Yeah, and they left mountains of furniture behind.
Wow, that must have added another layer of complexity to the renovation.
Oh, definitely did. You never knew what they were going to find next.
Talk about unpredictable.
Right. But amidst all the chaos, they were making progress. And then came the next massive task, pouring the concrete for the floors.
Ah, yes, the floor.
Now, we're not just talking about a small patio here.
No.
The first floor, which was for the seminar space,
Okay.
covered a whopping 120 square meters
Wow.
and weighed over 60 tons.
60 tons of concrete. That's insane.
I know, right? It was a super meticulous process. Tons of gravel insulation reinforcement mesh.
Right.
And, of course, mountains of concrete.
And they had to do all of that again for the second floor.
They did.
Man, I'd be exhausted just thinking about it.
Honestly, at this point, I think I would have just called it quits.
Yeah. I can't say I blame you.
But not Francis and Benoit.
No.
They pressed on, and get this, they even found ways to be environmentally conscious throughout the whole process.
Oh, that's awesome. What did they do?
Well, they used locally sourced wood for the windows,
Okay.
bio-sourced cellulose insulation,
Good.
recycled paper in the wall panels,
Wow.
and even permeable pavers for the courtyard.
That's impressive. They really were committed to minimizing their environmental impact.
They were, which is incredible considering the sheer scale of this project.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of scale, remember that precarious spire on the main tower?
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that in the photos.
It was in such bad shape that they actually had to lower it to the ground for restoration.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That was incredibly risky.
Oh, it was. They used this massive crane.
Wow.
And if the spire had slipped even a little, it would have been a devastating loss.
Yeah, no kidding. But they managed to pull it off.
They did. They restored the finial of the lightning rod
Wow.
and painstakingly put the spire back in place.
It's amazing how they just kept overcoming these obstacles one after another.
I know. It really shows their tenacity.
It does.
But just when they thought they'd overcome the worst of it, the COVID-19 pandemic hits.
Oh, no. You're kidding?
Nope. Funding, dried up supply chains stalled,
Ooh.
and their planned opening date had to be pushed back indefinitely.
Talk about a curveball.
I know, right?
So what did they do?
Well, that's what's so remarkable about them. Even in the face of a global crisis, they managed to find a silver lining.
How'd they do that?
They used the downtime to tackle even more tasks themselves,
Oh, smart.
which ended up saving them money
Right.
and gave them more control over the project.
So this unexpected challenge actually ended up making them better problem solvers and managers?
Exactly. They adapted and they persevered.
That's really inspiring.
It is. So they've got this crumbling castle, a global pandemic, and a ballooning budget.
Right.
What comes next?
I don't know what could possibly top all of that.
Well, as pandemic restrictions started to ease, they turned their attention to the interior.
Okay.
And that's where the details really start to take shape.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Me too. We'll dive into all of that and more in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned.
I'm hooked.
Awesome. I'm glad.
This is already such a fascinating story.
Oh, it is. It only gets better from here.
Can't wait. They tackled the interior and really started focusing on the finer points, you know?
Yeah, like what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Like the main tower suite. The fireplace was practically falling apart.
Owned?
Yeah, but they painstakingly restored it.
Wow.
And get this. Remember that original staircase step they'd salvaged earlier?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
They managed to incorporate it back into the design?
No way. That's so cool.
It is. And for the bathrooms, they chose these incredible large format tiles.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing those in the videos.
They look like wallpaper.
They do. It's such a cool blend of modern and historic.
Exactly. Like, they weren't afraid to mix things up a bit.
And it works.
Yeah. And remember how we talked about their commitment to sustainability?
Uh-huh.
It really shows in the interior design, too.
Like how so?
They used locally sourced wood for all the furniture.
Nice.
Eco-friendly insulation in the walls.
That's good.
And even recycled materials wherever they could.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring to see that they didn't compromise on their values, even with a project this massive.
It is. It shows that it's possible to create something beautiful and sustainable.
Totally. And it's not just about the materials themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
It's about the bigger picture.
Exactly.
They've created a space that'll generate income, provide jobs, and breathe new life into this historic landmark.
Exactly. It's about creating a lasting legacy that benefits both the community and the environment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so after all that restoration work, building something entirely new must have been a nice change of pace.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's talk about the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, the restaurant.
This was like a blank canvas for them?
It was. They built it on the site of the demolished chapel.
Oh, wow. So it's like a symbolic blending of the old and the new.
Yeah, exactly.
And the design is incredible.
It is. They went with sleek lines, a modern kitchen, and a huge dining area.
How many people can it seat?
150 guests.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. They really wanted to make a statement with the restaurant.
And they did. And they didn't skimp on the details either.
Oh, no, not at all. Remember that custom-made all-electric cooking unit from Paris?
Oh, yeah, that thing was a beast.
Oh.
It was like the centerpiece of the whole kitchen.
It really shows their dedication to creating a high-end dining experience.
Totally. But was such an expensive stove absolutely necessary?
Well, they clearly believed it was a worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
They understood that the restaurant would be a key part of the hotel's success.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's rewind a bit
Sure.
and talk about some of the challenges they faced along the way.
Okay.
They mentioned in their video logs that the project ended up costing almost double their initial estimate.
Yeah, that's not uncommon with renovations, especially when you're dealing with a historic structure like this.
Right. Like unexpected problems pop up, material costs fluctuate.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to make tough decisions that impact the budget.
Exactly.
Like when that roofing company went bankrupt.
Oh, yeah, that was a tough one.
Talk about a major setback.
It was. But they didn't let it derail them.
No, they didn't.
Yeah.
They brought in some friends with roofing experience and tackled the job themselves.
That's what's so inspiring about their story. They never gave up.
They didn't. They faced every challenge head on, found creative solutions, and ultimately achieved their goal.
It's a true testament to their resilience and determination.
It is. And they had a secret weapon, their online community.
Oh, yeah. Their online community played a huge role in their success.
They documented their entire journey on YouTube, sharing the highs and lows with thousands of followers around the world.
What a brilliant way to leverage social media.
It was. They built a brand, engaged with their audience, and even attracted investors.
It really speaks to the power of storytelling.
It does. People were captivated by their journey.
Yeah.
They were rooting for them. They wanted to see them succeed.
It's like they turned their project from a private endeavor into a shared experience.
Exactly. People felt invested both emotionally and in some cases financially in the chateau's transformation.
And let's not forget the impact they had on the local community.
Oh, yeah.
They created jobs, revitalized a historic landmark, and brought new energy to the village of Cours.
It's a reminder that even a small team with a big dream can make a real difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's fast forward to the grand opening.
Right, the grand opening.
The restaurant was packed, the food looked incredible, and you could just feel the sense of accomplishment radiating from Francis and Benoit.
I bet they had every right to be proud.
They did. They had transformed a crumbling castle into a thriving business.
It's an incredible achievement. But even with the restaurant up and running, the work wasn't over.
Oh, no, not even close. They still had a whole hotel to finish.
Right. Guest rooms, suites, the reception area. It was time to shift gears and tackle the final phase of the project.
And how do they handle that?
What's actually really heartwarming to see in the video logs that they were still working side by side, even after all they'd been through.
Oh, that's sweet.
It's a testament to their friendship and their shared vision.
Yeah.
They were in it together every step of the way.
And the finished product.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning.
Really?
The rooms are beautifully appointed, the suites are luxurious, and the attention to detail is evident throughout the entire hotel.
They managed to preserve the historic character of the chateau while also creating a comfortable and modern space for guests.
They did.
Okay.
And let's not forget about that elevator.
The elevator.
Yeah, it's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about their commitment to accessibility and comfort.
Oh, I see. It's those little touches that elevate the guest experience.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
truly thought of everything. You know, it really makes you think, What seemingly impossible dream are we putting off?
Uh-huh.
You know, it's that one thing that just feels so overwhelming or
Yeah.
too expensive or just way outside our comfort zone.
Right, I get that.
But like, think about Francis and Benoit.
Yeah.
They started with zero construction experience
Right.
and a castle that was basically falling apart.
And they still pulled it off.
They did.
Yeah.
They can do that. Just imagine what we can achieve, with the right mindset and a little bit of grit.
Totally. It's all about believing in yourself and your vision.
And not giving up when things get tough.
Exactly.
This deep dive has been about so much more than just a renovation project, hasn't it?
It really has. It's a lesson in problem-solving, resourcefulness, adaptability.
Skills that we can all apply to our own lives.
Yeah, no matter what challenges we're facing.
Exactly. Think about how they handled those major setbacks, like the roofing company going bankrupt, or the pandemic throwing a wrench in their plans.
Yes, I didn't let those things stop them.
They didn't. They found workarounds and just kept moving forward.
It's impressive.
They could have easily given up at so many points along the way.
Right.
But they didn't. What do you think kept them going?
Well, they had each other for one. Their friendship and shared vision clearly played a huge role.
Absolutely. And they also had that amazing online community cheering them on and offering support.
Yeah, they turned their audience into investors, collaborators, a source of motivation.
And let's not forget the sheer passion they had for this project. They believed in their dream, and they were determined to make it a reality.
Passion is a powerful force.
It really is.
Yeah.
It can fuel us through even the toughest challenges.
Absolutely.
And speaking of transformations, we focused a lot on the physical changes to the chateau.
Right?
But what about the personal transformations? How did this project change Francis and Benoit as individuals?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, we've seen their skills evolve, their confidence grow, their resilience tested time and time again.
This project pushed them to their limits.
And they came out stronger on the other side.
They
really.
did. It makes you wonder what hidden potential we all have within us, just waiting for the right opportunity to emerge.
It does. So to wrap things up, what's the biggest takeaway from this deep dive? What's the one thing we want our listeners to walk away with?
I think it's this. No matter how daunting a challenge may seem, never underestimate the power of perseverance, adaptability, and a healthy dose of passion.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Francis and Benoit's story is proof that even the most ambitious dreams can be realized with the right mix of determination and creativity.
It's a story that reminds us that we're all capable of achieving extraordinary things.
Absolutely. So what's your seemingly impossible dream? What's that one thing you've been putting off?
Maybe it's time to take that first step and see where it leads.
You never know what you might be able to accomplish.
That's right. So on that note, thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating adventure.
I can't wait.